Remember when everyone would ask you when you were little, what do you want to be when you grow up? And now we're grown up and don't know what we're doing with our lives? Hi, my name is Madeline, and I am a college and career life coach. I help high school students, college students, and other young adults navigate the confusion that is life after graduation. Whether it's choosing your first career path or changing to a new career path, I am here to help you figure out what it is that you are doing with your life. So, welcome, get comfortable, and let's hang out together. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad to have you back here on the We Grew Up Now What podcast. I hope life has been treating you well. I am just so grateful that you are back here again, listening to all the stuff that I have to say. So, I have so many questions in this frequently asked questions series that, to be quite honest, it's probably going to go on forever. But I have a question for me to talk about today. And the question of the day is, why is it so tough to choose a career? So I think it can be really tough to choose a career based on a couple of things. The first one is that you may just have a lot of interests and you don't know how to narrow it down. It can be hard to narrow those down, actually, especially if you can see yourself in multiple career paths. And to be quite honest, some of us aren't meant to be doing the same thing for the entirety of our lives. Having one job forever may just not sound appealing to you. And honestly, I feel like the older that I get, like the less appealing it sounds to me too, because I don't know, I just feel like having the same exact job for your entire life in the workforce, like I feel like that's boring almost. So I don't know, to each their own. Some people love doing the same actions every day. Like for instance, like in the hospital, like it was different every day, which was nice, but essentially I'm doing the same thing. So like I'm either taking like a million chest x-rays or I'm doing the same cases over and over again in the OR or doing the same exams portably. Like it can just be redundant, I guess. So I guess it just depends on how the job actually is. There are actually some people who job hop. And I feel like this has been such a topic of discussion lately because I've seen an article come out recently. I don't remember where it originated from, but I saw an article come out recently that said that Gen Z is more likely to job hop because they're not willing to put up with working conditions that they feel are subpar, I guess. And I definitely think that's an interesting take. I definitely feel like there are a lot of people right now participating in the great resignation where they're leaving their jobs to try something new. I mean, I did it too. I left my job to launch this business. So I definitely can relate, but I think technically I'm also Gen Z, which makes me roll my eyes a little bit because I definitely identify more with the childhood of a millennial instead of Gen Z. I mean, it's a good mix of both, I guess. Anyway, we're not going to get into it because my cousins literally torment me over this because the majority of my cousins are millennials and they basically just make fun of me because I want to be a millennial so bad, but I'm actually Gen Z. But back to the job hopping thing, I do think, you can still support yourself and it can be a great way to test drive multiple career paths while getting paid for it. And you can develop a multitude of skills and you get to spice things up as often or as not as often. I don't know the other word I was looking for. As often as you want to. It's a great way to not get bored. And the pay and schedule may fluctuate, which is, I feel like, one of the only bad things. And then around tax time, I feel like it's just a headache to collect all your W-2 forms, but that's really not like a big deal. For you anyway, for your tax accountant, they're probably banging their heads in the wall, but um, I feel like a lot more people are doing that these days, especially like I said, like that article highlighted, a lot of the younger generation. And I think it's just because, back to my original point, some people can see themselves in multiple career paths. And that's okay. Like, you're allowed to have multiple interests. Not all those interests have to be your main career, your main hustle. Some of it can be your side hustle. And you can interchange those as much as you're comfortable with. So it's okay to see yourself in multiple paths. Try one that interests you the most and go from there. If you get to the point where you're not feeling it anymore, you can always leave and start over, like I did as well. It's definitely possible. Before I ever had a full time job, I honestly didn't know what I did and did not want from a job or an employer. So I actually had to have that experience to be able to know what I was looking for. And now I can understand the type of work culture I want my career field to have. But aside from that, like in general, we're allowed to change our minds at any point in time about anything. I just feel like some people can take life a little too seriously at times, and they don't understand that it's okay to start over. It's okay to have multiple career paths if you want. You will always figure it out, especially if those are the paths that are meant for you. Thinking back to my time in high school, we had a limited idea as to what all was out there for us. Like, I learned so much about things that I could pursue after high school after I kind of like went through them, I guess. Like, I, as y'all may know, got chronically ill, had to drop out of my university, had to, completely change my career plans. And I ended up finding a medical trade school in my own backyard that I had never even heard of before. And that school most definitely changed my life. I would highly recommend going to a trade school if you can, because, or it doesn't even have to be a trade school, like any small program that's going to get you in and out and give you that hands-on experience while you're a student and allow you to graduate with some job experience directly into your field. Like, I think any program like that is awesome. And that's the programs that we had at that medical trade school. So I didn't know anything about that until I got there. So that's kind of the thing that allowed me to start going back to high schools and talking to students in the very, very, very early days of my career in this college and career coaching, even though I didn't know I was going to be changing careers at the time that I started speaking to students. Um, yeah, that's what started me out, is because I was like I said, my life was changed by that school. Like, it was such a good experience. And I wanted to go back to my high school and let other people know that these options are out there. Not everybody has to go to a university. Like, that's the narrative for everybody, is like, you're supposed to graduate high school and you naturally, the next step is to immediately go to college. So, and when they say college, mostly they mean a university to get your 4-year bachelor's degree. So that's just something that sparked that passion in me, is to show people that are still in high school that there are other options out there for them. Because I remember back in high school, I had no idea that that existed. And maybe if I did know, I probably would have gone straight there. So if you're feeling like you can't decide right now what path you want to take, like, don't even worry about it, because you have so much more time to figure it all out. A lot more time than you think. You can take the time to explore the world around you, see what it has to offer, and maybe you'll stumble across something that you enjoy that you didn't even know about, like me with coaching and starting my own business and hosting this podcast. Like, I never saw myself as an entrepreneur, but when I started toying with the idea of starting my own business, I was scared. I had no idea. I still, I'm learning along the way. I don't want to say I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm learning along the way. But at the time when I decided to start this, I had no idea what I was doing. And it's just, you learn as you go. So it's possible. Even if a big realization like that doesn't happen, you will still have taken the time to figure out what you like. And hey, if you didn't find something that you like, at least you found out what you didn't like. So it's beneficial anyway. So don't rush into your career if you're having trouble figuring out what you want to do. Take your time. There's just so much pressure to hurry up and get our lives started, and nobody wants to wait on anything anymore. I feel like it's always, oh, you have graduation coming up. So what are you doing after graduation? You go to college. And then they're like, oh, you're graduating again. What are you going to do for your job? You get a job. They're like, oh, when are you moving out? Then you meet someone. They're like, when are you getting married? When are you buying a house? When are you having kids, grandkids? When are you going to retire? Et cetera, et cetera. Like, it's always like people are so concerned with what your next step is. And, I feel like they have good intentions. I'm sure, like, it's never malicious, but it's just, you can't ever, I feel like, be in one phase of your life for too long, because people are always like, all right, what's next? Like, tapping at their wrist, like the clock is ticking, and that's not true. Like, there's this false sense of urgency. Now, granted, life is short, and I get that. You want to do as much living in your time on this earth that you can, but also, like, I'm not going to rush myself into a career that might end up making me extremely unhappy because I chose it for the wrong reasons, because I was rushed. So just whichever process sounds right to you, follow that. If you want to go ahead and get started in school, but do like an undecided major or a general studies program at a local community college, do that. If you want to take some time off and figure out some sense of direction before you invest money in going to school, do that as well. Some people will say, why wait? Why don't you just get it all done? But like, some people aren't concerned about that urgent timeline. So to each their own. Don't allow others to rush you into the rest of your life. You literally have the rest of your life to figure it out. Your timeline is yours and nobody else's. And that means your life might always look different in one way or the other. And nobody else has to understand it. So it's not meant for everyone to understand, because, like I said, everyone's lives can look different. Our interests, our values, all of that is very diverse from person to person. So if you feel like you need to take that time off, do that. If you want to continue your studies, do that. Just stay focused on you and the life that you're building, and don't worry about the people that are always wondering what's next. Moving on, another reason why it could be tough to choose a career is if you're feeling pressures from other people. So is someone putting pressure on you to pursue a certain career path? The inability to choose and feel good about that certain career path may be a sign that you're being pushed in the wrong direction. Maybe your parents think that you should either be a doctor or a lawyer, but neither of those things feel good for you. So no wonder you're having a hard time choosing a career, because the options that are being forced upon you weren't even your idea. Now, obviously, that's just like a hypothetical situation and it may not apply to everybody, but I guarantee you it applies to someone. So I just felt the need to say that. But at the end of the day, it's your life, your career, and your happiness. If you allow yourself into something that doesn't align with your interests, you're likely to end up unhappy and miserable in your choice, especially if you're making that choice to make others happy. This normally doesn't get better until you put yourself back on the right track to where you actually want to be. So, what are some steps that you can take to help yourself narrow down your career paths and your career choices? One of the first things I'll tell you is understand your interests. I've talked about it on my social media before. I'm not sure I've talked much about it on the podcast, though, not going to lie. So, you can have a career personality, and there are actually 6 different quote unquote personalities, like career personalities, that you can have. So, understanding what that is and how it can serve you in choosing your career path is essential, because when you figure out which of those personalities is your career personality, it directly correlates with certain career clusters or career fields. So, because of how essential understanding that is, I actually made a free quiz to help you figure out which career personality best fits you. So, I will drop the link to that quiz in the show notes if you are interested. Make sure you check it out. Like I said, it's completely free. You just have to type your email in to get access to the quiz. Another step you can take to narrow down all the options is just talk to people. And talking to people is beneficial for 2 reasons. The first one is that it's a form of networking, and networking will not only build you connections for you within the field of your interest, but it could also help you with the job hiring process down the road. Another reason why talking to people is beneficial is because you get insight from real people within the field and you can see what it's like. Talk to both students who are currently studying that career and people who are actually working in it, so that you can get multiple perspectives as to what your experience may be like. And that just gives you a good, well-rounded idea, not only of what the working in the career field is like, but also what it's like to pursue that education. The third step that you can take is set up shadowing. Now, granted, I know not all careers may accommodate this, but for those that do, definitely take advantage of that opportunity. It's one thing to be able to hear from others what the career field is like, but it's a whole new experience to be able to see it for yourself and decide for yourself. I had to shadow an x ray tech before I got into the program, and it gave me a good idea of what my everyday procedures would be like working as a tech. And I think for that x ray program, they actually made shadowing a requirement from now on, because there were so many people that were entering the career field with little to no knowledge about what it is that we actually did on a daily basis. And then they realized we did things like enemas and they were like, not for me, which I can't blame them. But yeah, it's not for everybody. So just make sure you have a good understanding of what the day-to-day life looks like in that career that you are thinking about. So to wrap it all up, what is it that you've been dreaming of? And how can you get closer to that today? What next steps can you take to get you closer to that goal of finding the career path that's right for you, if that is your goal? I'm assuming it is if you're listening to this. But are there a couple career fields, even if you're not, you know, sure about which path is right for you? Like, let's say you're trying to choose between 4 different things. Find people in each of those fields and talk to them. Figure out if the things that they're telling you about the career sounds like something that you're interested in or not interested in. Do as much of your own research as you can to help you make a fully informed decision about which career may be right for you. So that is all I have for you today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening to me endlessly talk about college and career. I always have a lot to say. So I'm happy if any of the words I'm saying resonate with you and help you in your career journey. I will say next week, the episode that I'm releasing goes hand in hand with this week's episode, and it's called How Does One Pick a Happy and Fulfilling Career? So make sure you stay tuned for that episode as well, because I do feel like it builds right on top of the stuff that we're talking about this week. So if you don't want to miss it and want to make sure that you are the first to know about any of my podcasts, any of my special promotions, any of my bonus content, then make sure you sign up for my mailing list. I will put a link in the show notes to where you can view the welcome email and what all is included in being a part of the mailing list. And from that link, you can also sign yourself up to be on the list and make sure that you receive my emails every week. Make sure you're following me on social media to see me talk about this topic all throughout the week and next week, pretty much, because, like I said, these next two episodes go hand in hand. So follow me on social media. It is Madeline Swan LLC across all platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you for being here with me today. If you are looking for a more personalized solution to your career struggles and your college struggles, I will leave the link to my free 30-minute call in the show notes. Book a free 30-minute call if you want to pick my brain about your personal situation, and we can see how I can best serve you. Until next time, stay safe and let's hang out again soon.